Now, yesterday in State Parliament, laws were passed that allowed for, compensation or transition payments to owners of the licences for taxis and limousines. Either way, the laws were passed. Now, sadly, the minister responsible for those laws, Sterling Hinchliffe, is not available for interview this morning, which is very surprising. So let's go to the industry, the people who are affected by the minister's decision and the laws passed. This morning, the Brisbane limousine drivers are angry that not only do they see those payments as inadequate, but they say they've been cut out of supplying vehicles to the 2018 Commonwealth Games, something which held a lot of promise for the small businessmen and women who drive or own limousines. Jackie Phoebe is the chairperson of the Limo Action Group. Jackie Phoebe, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Why do you say you've been cut out of the Commonwealth Games?
There's an article in the Courier Mail that discusses the draft proposal from Minister Hinchliffe in regards to the passenger transport for the Commonwealth Games. At the end of that article and the Courier Mail, the ex-Premier, Mr. Beattie, is quoted as saying that they'll be egalitarian and limousines won't be used for the chauffeur-driven vehicles.
So this means all those people in Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Southeast Queensland that own limousines and are licensed to run a limousine are cut out of the Commonwealth Games.
That's what it's reading like to us.
Have you sought a meeting with the Transport Minister Sterling Hinchliffe about this?
Not about this. We've sought many meetings with the Transport Minister in the past, and we've been knocked back.
So you've not been able to speak with the Minister at all?
No, he refers us to the department and then discovers that we've already met with the department and declines to meet with us.
Well, let me ask you then about the laws that were passed through Parliament yesterday. A one-off payment for taxi drivers and also for limousine drivers. How do you see the payment, the compensation that's been offered to limousine drivers?
Completely unfair.
Why?
For limousines is a little bit different to taxis, and I'll talk on limousines because that's the area that affects me the most. Limousine licences were sold by the government and then sold on the second-hand market. We maintain their highly regulated system, and a lot of people are self-funded retirees. This is their income. It's our property. We were charged capital gains tax if we on-sold them, stamp duty as well. And now the government's planning to cancel them outright. Very different to the taxis. Ours will be cancelled, and even though they can't give exact details, but they say that we'll move into the ride booking category and we'll have an annual fee going forward then. So everyone who owns a limousine licence, approximately 500 of them in Queensland, will have their property just dismissed, chucked in the bin.
How much have you paid for them?
They varied in price. The dearest one sold for $150. We estimate average value is about $80,000.
All right. So these limousine drivers will be able to apply from January next year to the state government for compensation, a one-off payment of $10,000. Is that a good deal?
Not at all.
Why not?
Well, we have licences that are worth $80,000, giving us an income, and now we can get $10,000 for that. I've got grandparents who own 5 of these in their 90s. This is their sole source of income. That's now completely down to zero. The only option they've got is to put that money in the bank, so they'll go from earning $32,000 a year to $1,000 in interest.
I'll just get you to come in front of the microphone if you would, please. So how are limousine owners of licences feeling today? The laws were passed last night. Sadly, the Minister is not able to explain his laws this morning, although he did speak to journalists at Parliament House last night apparently about this. How are limousine owners feeling today?
They're devastated. And they've been devastated for a little while now because we've already lost our income from the day that ride booking was legalised in September, but completely devastated and not sure what to do next. We're told this is a transition assistance. We're not sure what we're transitioning to.
What does the Minister say you're transitioning to? Is it compensation or transition assistance? Because I understood the Minister's office was in statements was saying compensation. Is that not right?
No, well, they've been telling us transition assistance and correcting us a lot up until now, and then his press release today said that it was compensation. So we'd really like to get that clear.
So previously you described it as compensation. The Minister's office would correct you and say, no, it's transition assistance.
That's right, and Transport and themselves would correct us. Always tell us transition assistance is no compensation.
Okay, so what are you transitioning to?
Poverty.
So it's your position that the Minister, Sterling Hinchliffe, is transitioning the owners of limousine licences to poverty?
Pretty much. We've got there's two classes, there's investors and there's operators, and we're losing our asset, we're losing our income there. Operators will still be able to operate, but a lot will have loans on these licences that they have to service, and for what?
How many times have you sought a meeting with the Transport Minister, Sterling Hinchliffe?
Oh.
Do you know?
It'd be countless. So we've got them in writing as well, it's always in writing. Probably 5 letters back and forward in the last week. Our group only formed 7 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So we've been seeking meetings right from then.
And you've never been able to get a meeting with the Minister?
No.
Never, ever?
No, not at all.
Has he promised you a meeting at any stage in the future?
No.
Does he say why?
That we need to talk to the department.
But he's the Minister? That's
right.
He's the boss of the department?
He's the boss of the department.
All right, so was the department helpful in your questions, the Department of Transport?
The department didn't really give us much. They get much information that we didn't already have. They did. There's an industry reference group which the Minister in Parliament too yesterday spoke on, and relying quite heavily on the information out of that. We requested to be a part of the industry reference group, told that we weren't able to be, but were told that we'll be included in future workshops. One workshop's taken place and we were not included in that.
So how do you regard these series of commitments?
It's just a joke, really.
My guest is the chairperson of the Limousine Action Group. Jackie Phoebe is her name. This is 612 ABC Brisbane. So whenever you say the compensation package, you're corrected by the department, until now when their own statement calls it compensation.
That's right.
But they've told you it wasn't.
Definitely, always corrected.
They've told you it was transition assistance.
Transition assistance package, and all their literature says that as well.
They have an industry advisory group. You were promised to be a member of that at some point, but they had their first meeting and you weren't invited.
Yeah, we weren't invited to the workshop. We were told we could be a part of that. One body's allowed to represent limousines, and that seems to be it.
You sought multiple meetings with the Minister and have never been able to get a hearing.
That's right.
And today, or in the papers, you now find out that limousine owners in Brisbane will not be allowed or not be able to provide limousines or get any of the business coming from the 2018 Commonwealth Games.
Exactly. If the Courier Mail report is correct, yeah.
What are you going to do about this?
Oh, we're just going to keep on, Steve. We're just going to keep on fighting. We're getting some support listening to Parliament yesterday. We're finally being heard. Our limousine group of licence owners being differentiated from taxis, which is good. We had some great support yesterday with the Catter Party, Andrew Powell, standing up there and telling Minister Hinchliffe that he is not doing the right thing here, and he's being stubborn. He made a hasty decision, but he's standing by it, even though everyone is pointing out to him that it's not right.
All right. When you are corrected by the department, at least up until the Minister's press release, saying it wasn't compensation, it was transition assistance, did the Department of Transport say what they were assisting you to transition to?
To the new form of industry.
Which is no more limousine licences.
Exactly.
Right. So what are you going to do about this, Jackie Phoebe? What are limousine drivers? So how many mature elderly people have limousine licences that have been regulated by the state government of Queensland? How many of them will be genuinely put into poverty? Can you say?
I couldn't give you an exact number, but I would say, well over 100 or more. And they've already been affected, Steve. They're already struggling.
Jackie, just stay with me if you would. Jackie Phoebe is the chairperson of the Limousine Action Group. This is 612 ABC Brisbane. Laws passed through Parliament last night. We did invite, in fact, we made several attempts to get the Minister, Sterling Hinchliffe, on the program this morning. Even though they were his laws that passed through Parliament yesterday, he wasn't able to join us to explain them. Peter from Everton Park. Peter, you own 4 limousine licences, is that right?
That's correct, Steve, yeah.
And what sort of a financial impact is this going to have on you?
Well, they're going to be taking away my super. I bought those licences in good faith with the government. I paid over $70,000 each for those licences. I was going to keep them. I was getting an income of $500 a licence from people that were leasing them off me, and I was going to keep them for my kids and for my super. If they take them off me, I've lost it all.
How much money do you think you've lost?
Probably $240,000. If you own a house, Steve, on a main road, and the government wants to retake the house to widen the road or something, they at least offer you the market value of their house. They just don't come along and take and say, here's $10,000, go away. And that's what the government's trying to say to us. I've written to Stirling Hinchcliffe and Anastasia Palace Day, and all they did is just send me a copy of the template of the main roads transport. I mean, they didn't even have any sympathy towards me, or didn't express any concern that I might be losing a lot of money.
So they didn't answer your question you put to them. How much money do you still owe on the 4 limousine licences?
$200,000.
So you owe $200,000?
Correct.
And those licences are now worth how much?
Well, at present form what the government's offering us is $10,000. And I used to lease them out at $500. People were giving them back to me and saying, why should I put limo plates on my cars anymore, because the government's taking them off you? I can't even lease them out for $300 a month now. And I used to get 500 plus GST a month. I pay stamp duty on those licenses every year to the government. I pay fees on those licenses every year to the government. They took all my money off me. I've been in the industry 28 years. I'm actually a driver, owner of the business, of a limousine business as well. I've got 3 cars, and I'm losing a lot of money.
So what are you going to do, Peter?
Well, what can I do, Steve? I've lost my super. If it goes through, then my business could be out the door in 5 years' time. I could be on the dole collecting money off government.
So you have 4 licences. You paid money to the state government. What do you want done about it?
Well, if the government wants to take my licences off me, I want to be paid a fair amount back to what they were before they announced the decision. Before they announced the decision, those licences were worth $70,000 on the market, and I was getting an income of $500 a month plus GST off those licences. That's $1,500 a month I was coming into my bank account from those 3 licences. Now I'm getting nothing. I can only get $300, sometimes $250. People saying to me, I don't want to lease these licences anymore. They're worth nothing.
So what will this mean for your bank manager? Are you going to have to go to your bank manager and say what? Well,
I don't know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to wait to see what happens in the situation. But, currently I'm still servicing that loan and surviving. But, if I lose income and can't get a decent price for my licences, I could be financially bankrupt. And is this what the Labor government does to small business in Brisbane? I'm not sure why. I've voted Labor all my life. That'll be the last time I vote Labor. You look what happened in the States. They voted Trump in because they're sick of the mainstream parties. Mainstream parties have got to start listening to the people. Why would you do... If you look at the recommendations, Steve, they handed them down. They paid $3 million for a bloke to do an inquiry. He recommended to have the taxis on one side, the limousines in the middle, and the share ride on the other side. Don't touch them. Why did Stirling Hinchcliffe suddenly say, get rid of the limousines? See, share rides, I don't know if you understand this, Steve, but share rides, okay, we don't mind competition. But if you book a limousine at 4 o'clock in the morning, we turn up. You can't book a share ride at 4 o'clock in the morning. You've got to open your app up and hope there's a car in the area. If there's no car in the area, it won't turn up.
Peter,
That's why the limousines were there in the first place.
Peter, thanks for phoning.
Thanks, Steve. Bye-bye now.
Peter of Everton Park. Just briefly, Jackie Feebig, fair market value is what limousine drivers sound like they want from the state government.
That's right. That's all we want. We don't want any more, just fair value.
So you want the money back from the state government that you paid to the state government?
That's right.
And are you optimistic you're going to get that?
Oh, I am. Because we're going to fight. I'm not optimistic that Hinchcliffe's going to want to give that to us, but I'm optimistic that we're just going to keep on fighting. I have to have some optimism, Steve. It's all I've got.
Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure, thank you.
Chairperson of the Limousine Action Group, Jackie Feebig. Before that, the owner of 4 licences.
612 ABC Brisbane.